So I want to share a perspective that has greatly helped me reduce stress and anxiety in my life. And that is one where I look at everything as happening for me. Everything is happening for me. There is some benefit, seen or unseen, known later or not, of why I get redirected, why there are obstacles in my path. And when we get shown things, that awareness helps us shift things, because until we can see a pattern in our life, until we can see the obstacle more clearly, it's really difficult to move forward in a different way, right? And we all have blind spots. I'm not saying that I don't have any blind spots now. I think this whole life is meant as a growing and learning experience. So I am constantly learning and growing and evolving. And as things get shown to me, that awareness helps me at least start on the path to then clearing things, because until we see them, we can't really change anything. So an example of this, viewing everything as happening for me, is the other day I was flying, and before I even got to the airport, on my first bus, I got a notification that my flight was delayed by almost 2 hours. Now, initially I was a little bit like, oh crap, I was already gonna be getting back around midnight. This pushed it to almost 2 a.m. and I have my dad picking me up from the airport. So I thought of him more than anything when that happened, because I thought, oh, he's gonna have to stay up so late, or but anyway, I just let it be, because what else can you really do? Sure, you could stress about it, I could think about more time spending it with my family versus getting on that bus, things like that. It's so natural and so human. But at the end of the day, there was nothing I could do about it. I wasn't going to completely shift my flight. I wasn't going to hop off the bus. So I just accepted it, not knowing why it was happening, but just accepting it as what was in that moment. And when we accept things as they are, I'm telling you, we suffer so much less. I know that we've all been in places, and I know I've been this way before, where something would happen and you're just stressing about it, and then you're thinking about how late you're going to get back, and then you're all these things you could totally go into, and I get it. And especially sometimes people have to work the next day. I try not to plan things like that when I'm getting back late, because I already know myself and I know I'm going to be really tired the next day. So I didn't have anything to come back to the next day that I had to do. At any rate, it was so cool, because what ended up happening was I got to the bus station, and for a little while I just hung out. It was a great place to sit in some cushy seats for a while, take my heavy traveling backpack off, and just relax. I called and talked to my dad for a while. I contemplated going out and exploring the city a bit where I was, versus just going straight to the airport. But at one point I just had this inner nudge to just get to the airport. And I just followed it. It was what else am I going to do? I'll just go there and hang out, whatever. So once I went outside to go get on the train from the station, I found out that the train was actually not running. And they were just about to leave with a few buses of people to take them to another train station so that they could get to the airport. So I literally went down right when they were going to be close to closing the doors, got on the bus, and went on my way. I didn't even have all the information until I was on and I heard them talking about it as to what exactly was going on. I just followed the path that was lined out for me. It was just there. It just happened so smoothly. So I'm on the bus. We're going to another train station. We end up getting on this other train. There was a bit of delay. We stood there waiting for the train to come initially, and then we sat on the train waiting for it to leave for a bit. So I had people around me who were getting close to when their plane was going to board, and they were starting to stress out. And I was just thinking about how amazing it was that my flight was delayed, and therefore I had nothing to worry about. I wasn't concerned at all if I would get there on time, because it was so pushed to the future that I knew I would have enough time no matter when we took off. So we're sitting there and everything, and finally we get to the airport, and I make my way through security, and I kid you not, when I got my phone out just after getting through security, it was the exact time of when my flight had been scheduled to take off originally, which was 6:55. So it was really funny how everything landed. And part of why it landed that way is I live very intentionally. I always, before big trips, before getting on the plane, even before going to the airport, I always set the intention that everything is going to run so smoothly. It's going to be so easy, that I'm going to have the nicest people cross my path, that the workers that I come in contact with are all going to be like nice, friendly, helpful. And I set the intention to not go through the body scan. Anyway, at any rate, like, I got through security when my flight would have originally left. But because it got delayed, I essentially just kept walking towards my gate. And at one point, there was a bunch of food places around, and I wanted to get some food. And I asked a worker, like, because it looked like things were centered in this one hub, and I wasn't yet to my gate. And I was like, hey, is this the main part of the food, or is there more down this way by, the gate that I was going towards? And he was like, yeah, there's more down there. Now, I put it out that of the exact like kind of food that I wanted, and I kid you not, I walked down to where my gate was, and I actually like ended up finding the exact thing that I wanted. So I got in smoothly, easily. Pretty much as soon as I got there, a guy left his table and I was able to go and sit down and order right away. So I say this because sometimes we don't end up finding out why things were delayed. Sometimes it's not until much later. Sometimes we never find out, right? But I live with this trust that everything is always happening for me. Even if I hit traffic, or even if I leave my house later than I anticipated, I have set the intention to live in alignment with my spirit. And really, intentions are about asking for what we want. When we tell our spirit what we want, it can literally unfold time and space and change our reality to match that. And the only reason that it ever doesn't do that, where we feel like we're constantly hitting walls and blockages and we're not able to create what we want or manifest the things that we're asking for, is because we have beliefs locked in at the spirit level that are creating that. So in all of this work I've done with holographic kinetics, I've been able to clear those limiting beliefs, which has freed up my spirit's ability to work for me and create the reality that I want. That has helped me tremendously. I can't even, say that enough. But looking at things from this perspective is so powerful, because it's literally tapping into our power, right? Because it's not just that everything is happening for me, it's that I'm literally creating my reality. My spirit is creating my reality, and anything shows up is showing me directly or indirectly exactly what I have going on. And sometimes it's stuff like physical issues, physical pain, whatever. And when I take it to a session, I end up finding deeper causes for that then allow me to shift things in my life that I've also been dealing with. Because everything is much deeper than just, oh, I have this injury from work. Oh, I have this strain from repetitive motion at work. Oh, I have migraines at the end of my nursing shifts. All of that has a root cause that's far beyond what we think it is. And that's why holographic kinetics is so powerful, because it allows us to change those things at the root cause versus just putting band-aids on in the form of massage, physical therapy, time off work. If we're not healing it at the root cause, that's when things can come back. That's why people feel to baby their bodies after an injury, because they didn't truly heal it. They just sort of put a band-aid on it for now and ease the symptoms. We can do much more than just ease the symptoms when we get to the root cause of these things. And, it's just really interesting the way things work out. Like today, I was contacting a few local car detailing places, and I found one, and it was like the first one I found, and they sent me an automatic message through Facebook and was like, hey, call, to ask questions, or just message me here. I called and literally got a message saying like, this phone number isn't accepting calls at this time or something. And I was like, okay, thank you, Spirit, because I know that I'm always being guided to the highest thing that I can find for my highest good. And so I found another one, and he messaged right away. So it's like, all these little things, or they can seem little, but when we set intentions, like I wanted to find the best person to detail my car for the best price for my highest good, their highest good, and my car's highest good. And, you know, these little blips where it feels like, oh, that's weird. Like I could easily just keep messaging the person or try to call them again later, but that's completely missing the point. Like I'm being shown that's not the place for me. It was that simple, that quick. And when we live that way, life gets so much easier. Doesn't it feel so much easier to think that everything is working out for you versus feeling like a victim all the time and blaming things on outer circumstances? And, you know, and the people that were going to miss their plane on the train, honestly, they could have at least like looked up other options of travel while we were at the station, right? They didn't have to keep going on that path when they hit that obstacle. Like for me, if my flight had been at the regular scheduled time, then when I was at the station and realized like, hey, the train is down, it's going to take this long if we go this route, I would have started looking up Lyft rides, right? And even if it was a little more spendy, if I wanted to make my flight, I would have made it happen in some other way. My spirit would have made it happen in some other way. So, yeah. The takeaway is just that you are powerful. You can create anything you want, and perspective really shapes our reality. You know, even labels like good or bad are just self-made things. Like it doesn't even really exist. Good and bad is not a thing in this reality. It's all just one path towards growth, learning, and ultimate transformation of our consciousness. You know, ultimately we're all leveling up in our consciousness through this experience, and we're balancing things out, and we're shifting our future timelines by living the way that we live in this life. Everything that we do matters. Every action, every word, every deed adds up through time. And when we choose to look at things in a more positive light, we shift our entire reality around us. There are no good paths or bad paths. There's just the path that you choose to take. None is better than the other, and it all leads you to things that you can't even imagine right now, that are going to be better than you can even imagine. So keep the positivity alive. And this doesn't mean that you push down negative feelings. I still, you know, in this trip, saying goodbye to loved one was really hard. And I cried and I allowed myself to be in sadness. I'm not saying that you do this like in a way that is just masking all of your real feelings with positivity. But I am saying that the way that you look at life, the way that you look at things that happen in your life can either help you ease suffering or create more suffering for yourself. And for me, I choose to ease suffering. I don't choose to suffer. I don't choose to look at things anymore as a victim or like I'm being attacked by reality or other people or things in my life. We are powerful creators. And the sooner that you realize this, the better, because I wish I would have learned this stuff many years ago so that I could start shaping and shifting my reality into exactly what I wanted like years ago. But anyway, we all get to where we're going eventually, and I'm just glad to be where I'm at now. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful day.